In well over 2 decades of being bullied in the workplace, I thought I had seen and heard it all and correctly identified all of the workplace bullying techniques there are. But I should stop challenging people to take their best shot and surprise me because I keep getting surprised. And despite my extensive, exhaustive history and experience with workplace bullying, I'm still learning. In my most recent workplace bullying experience, a workplace bully actually went home and attempted black magic spell work or witchcraft against me. Other people have attempted similar things against me in my personal life, but this was the first time that happened in the workplace. I have long maintained that workplace bullying is spiritual warfare happening on an energetic level, but I had no idea how correct I actually was, or that my theory would be interpreted literally. I know it sounds crazy, but this is workplace bullies we are talking about here, and this is about as sick as workplace bullying can possibly get. I include black magic as a workplace bullying technique similar to the technique of extortion, because apparently workplace bullies literally steal your personal items and possessions to use in spell work against you. Don't be afraid, however, I found black magic to be enjoyable and entertaining to deal with, and the only workplace bullying technique that is not only easy but also fun to address. You can call it black magic, the craft, spell work, witchcraft, but whatever you want to call it, as with all workplace bullying techniques, it only underscores the lengths that workplace bullies will go to and just how desperate they really are. Black magic takes a variety of forms and employs a variety of techniques, but just for example, some people may do blood magic using their own blood, for example, menstrual blood, or the blood of animals that they bought in the grocery store, or some people may actually go out and scrape up the carcasses of roadkill to use the flesh, blood, and bone of the animal in the spell work. Some people may put your name and or photograph in a glass jar with nails and screws and other sharp objects, and even bury it in a graveyard. And of course, some people may make puppets to represent you in effigy. This is the proverbial voodoo doll that they literally stick pins in or otherwise harm in order to cause harm to you. But what practitioners of black magic think they really need are your personal items and possessions that have your energy and, more importantly, your bodily fluids. And this is where it gets really sick. Workplace bullies who are attempting black magic may ask to borrow your personal items and possessions, such as items of jewelry or clothing. They may go so far as to literally follow you into the bathroom immediately after you have used it, especially if you are a woman, to get what are called your discards, your sanitary items that you have thrown away that have your bodily fluids on them. They may ask to borrow sanitary items even though you have not used them. Presumably they are personal enough for use in spell work, and when all else fails, workplace bullies who are attempting black magic go so far as to straight up steal personal items and possessions from your workspace, thinking that you won't notice that they are missing. The intent of black magic as far as workplace bullying is concerned is twofold. It is both to send and to take. Some people argue that people who practice black magic are actually calling upon a demon, sending the demon your way in order to cause harm to you. So the intent is to hurt. And the intent of all workplace bullying is to get rid of you and eliminate you from the workplace. But before they do that, workplace bullies would love to see you miserable and to wreak havoc and cause chaos in both your professional and your personal life. But because workplace bullies as narcissists are partly defined by pathological jealousy, they also want to take, and anything that they cannot take, they have to destroy. So part of the intent of the spell work is also to separate you from your blessings, to deprive you of the good things that you already have. Professionally, certain aspects of your work, such as your clients, and even in your personal life. The good things that you have, such as your personal possessions, your car, your home, your clothing, and even your personal relationships. How do you know that a workplace bully is attempting black magic against you? Very easily. The signs are numerous and obvious. First of all, there are the physical symptoms. These go beyond the physical problems we ordinarily experience in any workplace bullying environment, black magic or no black magic. If you are a target of workplace bullying, I have a theory that you are an empath, or at the very least a highly sensitive person. And one of your spiritual gifts may be clairsentience. If that's the case, then you are certainly no stranger to getting sick in the workplace. As they say, lie down with dogs, wake up with fleas. If we spend enough time around narcissistic workplace bullies whose energy is absolutely vile, no matter how much we try to ground, protect, and cleanse ourselves, we can get literally physically ill, and the big one is digestive problems. But if black magic is a factor, you may experience physical problems you never experienced before, such as getting a migraine for the first time in your life, or breaking out in hives. Alternatively, workplace bullies may ask to try on or borrow personal items and possessions, such as items of jewelry or articles of clothing, under false pretenses. Oh, it's so cold today, I forgot to bring a sweater, can I borrow one of yours? If anything like that happens, consider that a major red flag, that this is a person who is trying to get personal items from you for use in spell work. Workplace bullies may follow you too quickly into the bathroom after you've used it, and too soon after they themselves have used it, to get, again, your discards, sanitary items that have your bodily fluids on them, and they may ask to borrow sanitary items from you. And the biggest sign that someone is attempting black magic in the workplace is that stuff goes missing, lost, or stolen items. Workplace bullies literally steal your personal items and possessions, such as items of jewelry or articles of clothing. In your personal life at home, you may detect foul odors that seem to come out of nowhere, that you cannot trace to any detectable source. You may experience problems in interpersonal relationships, family relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, and you may begin to act out of character, do and say things that you ordinarily wouldn't, akin to symptoms of depression, such as losing enthusiasm for things that used to bring you joy. Another sign that a workplace bully is attempting black magic in the workplace is that all of the above is happening to your colleagues. I have another theory about workplace bullying, and that is that bullying is an addiction. Bullies are addicted to bullying, and they are addicted to the target. And because narcissists demand constant supply, they are always serial repeat offenders. I'm not so narcissistic myself as to believe I am the only target. If they're doing this to you, they've done it before and they'll do it again. And the workplace bully who is into black magic probably has a decades-long history of doing this in multiple previous workplaces. You may hear complaints from your colleagues about diseases, ailments, sicknesses, and illnesses. They may complain about feeling or being sick, which they may attribute to food poisoning, resulting in absenteeism, arriving at work late, or having to leave work early, or even having to pull over at the side of the road to vomit. You may also witness your colleagues disappearing under mysterious circumstances. For some reason, they no longer work there. For example, they couldn't get their work visa renewed. The workplace bully probably had something to do with all of that. And all of this may be happening to colleagues of one gender or one race, because workplace bullies are famously prejudiced. For example, everyone getting sick and leaving are women, and the only new hires are all men. You may also witness colleagues behaving out of character and making very bad choices and decisions, such as engaging in adulterous extramarital affairs, a sign that a love spell has been attempted. And I want to point out that people who are interested in magic can believe that even your photograph can be used in spell work against you. So if you see someone who has social media but never posts any personal photographs on their social media, that is an indication that this is someone who is at least familiar with the craft. The biggest problem with people who do this kind of nonsense is that it gives a bad name to witches and spells. All spiritual paths, including organized religions, can be used for good and evil. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Catholicism, but apparently the Catholic Church has a problem with child sex abuse. Witches and spells are nothing to be afraid of. Wicca, paganism, and other forms of alternative spirituality are beautiful practices that use spells to bring joy into people's lives and therefore into the world. We do not use spells to take out a woman that we are jealous of because we hate our mother, because we hate ourselves. A witch is a woman with knowledge of the healing powers of the earth. Witches were early pharmacists, but traditionally the misogynistic patriarchy did not like that much power in the hands of a woman, so witches were vilified. A spell is nothing more than focused energy and intent. If you are my friend and you are sick, and I pray for you and send you love and light, you will feel better. That's a spell. Similarly, people can send you negative energy, but they may not always be aware that they are doing it. A spell can involve prayer, which is nothing more than a poem, because words have power and words have spelling. And a spell can involve ritual. The reason ritual is part of both organized religion and alternative spirituality is that it is a mindfulness practice. Mindfulness is focused awareness and attention in the present moment and can only be achieved by entering the physical body. In fact, every mindfulness practice begins by accessing one of the five senses. The great irony of spirituality is that it is impossible to be spiritual if you are not centered and grounded inside your physical body. Because if not, you are distracted by your thoughts in your headspace. All of the paraphernalia of organized religion and alternative spirituality, whether it's crucifixes and Bibles, or candles, crystals, incense, and oils, all of that are just tools used as a mindfulness practice to access the physical body through one of the five senses, thereby bringing focused attention and awareness to the prayer. If you use a rosary or prayer beads, that's a mindfulness practice. But the truth is that you don't need all of that stuff. With all due respect to Christianity, the reason that the crucifix has power is that you and millions of other people over the course of thousands of years have given it that power. But you could accomplish the same end with a pencil. And though I know I am going to get in trouble with the spiritual community, it can get awfully precious when it comes down to all of the different candles and colors and herbs and incense and oils and crystals and what is appropriate for what spell. No, you don't need to go to Michael's and drop $500 on a witchy haul. You don't need any of that. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe part of the intent of both Protestantism and Islam was to reject what they felt at the time had become ritual that was getting over the top and out of control in the dominant organized religion at the time that was distracting from God. In Islam, you get a prayer rug and that's about it, because you are supposed to be able to connect with spirit directly. To make a long story short, people who think that they need to steal your stuff with your bodily fluids on it to do spell work are straight up wrong. You don't need people's stuff, their photographs, or even their names, because a spell is nothing more than focused energy and intent. And yet, workplace bullies steal your stuff anyway, which leads me to believe they are stealing it not for the purposes of magic, but for the same reason they employ any workplace bullying technique. And that reason is narcissism. Though some people may disagree with me, I argue that workplace bullying is a form of narcissistic abuse because the parallels between narcissism and workplace bullying are uncanny. And yet narcissism remains poorly understood by many people, including some mental health professionals. A narcissist is not necessarily arrogant or confident, and a narcissist is not some guy who looks good. If anything, narcissism is this emptiness. When you are in the same room with a narcissist, you are standing on the edge at the precipice, looking out over the abyss, the gaping maw, the black hole, the bottomless pit, the void of their insatiable greed. Narcissists are takers, and you can feel from them this nasty taking energy. Workplace bullies steal your stuff for the same reason that narcissists take anything. And that's because they have nothing to give and cannot create anything. I state black magic is the easiest workplace bullying technique to deal with, because if you believe a workplace bully is attempting black magic against you, I can write you a list as long as my arm of techniques that I have found to be 100% effective. The Workplace Bullying Institute has stated that one of the results of being bullied in the workplace can be increased spirituality. So here is where that can be useful. I respect all faiths and don't want to interfere with anyone. So when it comes to my advice, just take what resonates and leave the rest. I give you only what has worked for me. Because I subscribe more to alternative spirituality, the first thing that I would do is called the freezer trick. You write the person's name 3 times on a piece of paper, fold the piece of paper 3 times, put it in a plastic bag, fill the bag with water, and put the bag in the freezer. The person is frozen and cannot harm you. Some people like to put the paper with the person's name on it and some honey to sweeten them up a bit. I use the freezer trick whenever I start a new job for all colleagues and clients. You can also get a candle, and some people use black candles. I prefer white because I believe it's better to fight darkness with light. You inscribe the person's name on the candle, light it, and then as the candle burns down, just visualize this person's negative energy leaving your life entirely. If you believe someone is sending you ill intent, there are several things you can do to protect yourself. The first one is prayer. You want to pray for protection using whatever deities, gods, goddesses, angels, saints, and prayers. For example, psalms of whatever creed, faith, religion, or spiritual path to which you subscribe. You can also use creative visualization. Imagine around yourself a protective bubble. It can be a literal bubble. It can be a bubble of light. Different people use different colors, white, blue, purple. Some people visualize a bubble of mirrors reflecting outward to repel any energy away from them. And some people visualize a brick wall surrounding them and protecting them. Prayer and creative visualization are things that you can do immediately before entering the workplace and regularly throughout the day while inside the workplace. I'm a firm believer in crystals. The big one is black tourmaline, which people believe absorbs or repels negative energy, but really any crystal will do. You want to keep crystals on your person. You can place them in your workspace, unless of course you are dealing with a kleptomaniac, narcissistic workplace bully who likes to steal your stuff. And you can place crystals strategically around your home, specifically at points of entry, above doorways, and on windowsills. If you believe someone has sent you negative energy, you want to cleanse yourself and your home. To cleanse yourself, the first thing that you can do is smudge, and this is to burn incense. Usually it's white sage. A lot of people don't like to burn white sage because it smells like cheap weed. Alternatively, you can burn Palo Santo or really any incense that you have asked the universe to bless for your cleansing and protection. You can also bathe with salt, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy like organic, pink, Himalayan salt. Table salt will do. Again, ask the universe to bless it for your cleansing and protection. You can also do an egg limpia. You can Google that if you want to. This is a ritual done with an egg to remove all negativity from your body, mind, soul, heart, spirit, and head. To cleanse your home, the easiest thing that you can do is literally clean it. Give it a good, deep, thorough spring cleaning. In Swedish, I believe this is called death cleaning, and in Portuguese, I believe it's called faxina. When you clean all of the things that you don't normally clean on a weekly basis, and as you do this, you can open all of the doors and windows to clear the air. As I stated, you can have crystals around your home. Try to keep candles of any color lit whenever possible. You can also place mirrors on your windows to reflect away any energy from your home. You can smudge or sage your home. As you do this, you can make ritualistic noises with Tibetan singing bowls or chimes and say prayers. You can also play spiritual music such as binaural beats, and you can find a lot of that on YouTube, again, to cleanse the energy in your home. And you can use salt or red brick dust. You can find red brick dust online, or you can make it yourself. You take a red brick and pulverize it with a hammer, and then you want to sprinkle either the salt or the red brick dust around the perimeter of your home if possible, or again at points of entry, thresholds and windowsills, to protect your home. Another thing that you can do is called the lemon trick. You take a lemon, cut it into 4 pieces, sprinkle it with the blessed salts, and leave it, of course, out of the way of pets or children, for it to absorb all negative energy out of your home for you to dispose of later. Spirituality is about healing, not about cure. So this is not a pill, this is a practice. This is something that you want to do regularly, daily, and enjoy it, because this is how you can cultivate a robust, vigorous, spiritual and prayer life that can serve you well, not only in the workplace, but throughout your life. I believe one of the most important things that you can do if you believe someone is sending you negative energy is to send it back. Some people send love and light and pray for their enemies because of the belief that all energy and intent that you put into the universe you receive. While this is effective, I prefer to return all energy, good and bad, where it came from, to the sender, exponentially, multifold, in spades, and with interest. Consider it a little tip. That way, if somebody is sending you love, they will receive love. But if somebody hates you and is trying to destroy you, the only thing that will happen is that they alone will receive all of their energy and their intent. I stated that I found this workplace bully's attempts at black magic against me laughable, humorous, entertaining, and amusing, not because she thought they would actually work, but because she thought I wouldn't know. But I've been on that grind for literally thousands of years, and nobody fucks with a witch like me. So if you believe someone is attempting black magic against you, you can simply do some spell work of your own. A spell, again, is a ritual involving a prayer with focused intent. And we want to check our intent. Our intent is never to hurt or to harm. It's like the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. Your intent is focused solely on yourself, and it is to remove all negativity from your life. To that end, I've written some prayers. I've written a prayer for protection and a prayer to return negative energy where it came from. And while I do not believe in cursing people, you can curse things. So I've also written a prayer to address any items that have been stolen from you for the purposes of black magic. So I include those in the description for this video, and you can use those in ritual using whatever colors, candles, incense, oils, and crystals you find to be effective. I also believe the easiest way, above all, to deal with black magic, the craft, spellwork, witchcraft, or just negativity in general is simply by being a good person. If you believe someone is sending you something, one of the most effective ways to address that is to do some charity or humanitarian work. Maybe it's time to make a donation or do some volunteering. And if you feel that you don't have a dime or the time, one of the easiest ways to help other people is to pray for them, if that is in your belief system. And you don't have to pray only for people you know. Maybe you can sit down and pray for people in the world who are suffering from violence, poverty, disease, and corruption. At the very least, know that you are protected and do not be afraid. The only way negativity can influence us in any way at all whatsoever is by capitalizing on our fear. And why would you be afraid? Wynton Marsalis stated that the entire history of the world is about the weak trying to dominate the strong, and that is exactly what is happening here. A bully is by definition a weak coward, and no one would ever come after you if you were not by definition spiritually stronger. You are a child of God, fashioned in the image of the Creator, and therefore imbued with the Holy Spirit, which is creativity. The opposite of creation is destruction, and if a workplace bully is using black magic to destroy an innocent person, then that bully is not working in the interest of the Creator, but in the interest of you-know-who. And the devil always collects his due. Workplace bullies may be able to give us diarrhea a few times, but in the end, they will always receive the full force of their energy and their intent. In other words, if you don't believe in karma, it believes in you. So that's an introduction to the workplace bullying technique of black magic. No joke, true story. That was a first for me. Do not be afraid and know that you are protected. Again, the prayers that I have written are included in the description for this video. The reason that I create this video series is to establish a forum where targets of workplace bullying can share their experiences and stories in a kind of support group. So you know, number one, you are not crazy. Workplace bullying is real and your feelings are perfectly valid and justified. And number two, you're not alone. Unfortunately, countless others have experienced exactly the same thing. So I look forward to reading your comments, and I promise to try to respond to each one. Take care.